When we picture medieval government, we often imagine kings, castles, and distant authority. But for most people in medieval England, power was close at hand. It lived within the village itself, shaped by routine, custom, and shared responsibility. In this calm film, we explore how medieval villages were governed, not by constant commands from above, but by systems rooted in everyday life. The foundation of village governance was the manor. A manor was more than land. It was a framework that organized work, rent, rights, and order. The lord of the manor might be a noble family, the crown, or a monastery, and was often absent for long periods. Authority operated locally, carried out by people who understood the land, the seasons, and one another. At the center of this system stood the manor court. The court met regularly and dealt with practical matters rather than serious crime. It recorded landholding and inheritance, settled disputes, enforced farming customs, and imposed fines for minor offenses. These issues were essential to survival. The manor court was a communal space. Attendance was often required, and villagers were not passive observers. Local tenants served on juries, gave testimony, and helped decide outcomes. A steward might preside on behalf of the lord, but decisions relied heavily on local knowledge and long-established custom. Justice here was familiar and public, shaped by shared expectations rather than abstract law. Serious crimes such as murder or major theft were usually handled by royal courts. Village governance focused instead on stability, keeping land productive, labor organized, and cooperation intact. To make this system function, villagers relied on local officials chosen from within the community. One of the most important was the reeve. Usually selected from among the tenants, the reeve organized labor on the lord's land, collected rents and dues, and represented the village to manorial authority. It was unpaid, demanding work, and often unpopular, because it meant enforcing obligations on neighbors. Other officials shared responsibility. The hayward protected crops and managed grazing. A constable helped maintain order and respond to disturbances. Parish officials, such as church wardens, cared for the church, managed funds, and oversaw charity. In many villages, the parish priest or clerk was one of the few literate figures, and village records depended on that skill. Beneath all these roles lay the strongest force in village life: custom. Medieval villages were governed as much by inherited practice as by written law. Custom determined when ploughing began, when fields opened for grazing, how common land was shared, and how disputes were resolved. These rules were widely understood and passed down through generations. Breaking custom was serious, not because it offended authority, but because it threatened balance. Taking more than one's share, neglecting repairs, or acting independently could disrupt the whole system. Governance existed to protect cooperation and prevent conflict. Punishments reflected this reality. Fines were common. Public acknowledgement of wrongdoing mattered more than harsh penalties. The aim was correction, not exclusion. Villages depended on their people, and order relied on reconciliation as much as discipline. Over time, crises tested village governance, famine strained resources. Plague reduced populations and changed the value of labor. Obligations slowly shifted, with some labor services replaced by money rents. The system adapted gradually, shaped by necessity rather than reform. Medieval village government was not democratic in a modern sense. People did not choose their lord or rewrite laws, yet it was participatory. Villagers attended courts, served as officials, upheld custom, and enforced rules that affected everyone. Life in a medieval village was governed by habit, obligation, and shared responsibility. Order came not from distant power, but from neighbors working within systems they understood and depended upon.